Right, guys, it's 2024. Now I want to jump straight into it, but I just want to have a quick. And please just bear with me very quickly. Just give me a quick minute, guys and girls. Just in this sort of welcome back video, just to sort of explain the situation where I am. I'm painfully aware I haven't been making content recently, and to be honest with you, in some ways. That could have possibly been a good thing, and in other ways, potentially a bad thing. And what I mean by that is, I've gone off on this journey over the last sort of 8 months, like many of us have, completely vectorizing every single piece of data source we own, hooking it up to every single API that we own, and making all these React.js and Streamlit apps, and just everything you guys have been doing, I've been doing the same. And then again, assistants have come out. Assistants just blew everything out of the water, changed the game again. And again, I went off and did the same thing with assistants. And one of the problems I have just generally when I'm doing these kind of things is I tend to overdo them. I don't know what you'd call it. Maybe you call it technical masturbation, perfectionism, whatever it is. And the truth be told is I've actually I've actually produced, almost 3 sets of videos over the last sort of 8-9 months period that I haven't even given to anyone, haven't shown anyone. And the reason is because I try and finish things off. I try and overdo things, and I just don't release anything with the community. And I'm really bad for it. I know. I get guilt over the amount of tools and stuff I've got on GitHub, and I need to go through them at one point and sort them out and share some stuff with the community and stuff. But yeah, so look, going forward, I'm aware that when I first came out, my bad with the channel name. I called the channel name after my moniker, my hacking moniker. Obviously, it made the channel very hard to find. I did a lot of over-engineering on the work at the start. Potentially missed the audience, and then I kind of walked away from the channel. And since walking away from the channel and just literally changing the name of the channel, I gained 50 subscribers. So with that ramble out the way, the new approach going forward is this. I'm going to try and just churn out content. I'm not even going to go and start planning it beforehand and doing all this meticulous 10-take approach and all this. I'm just going to jump into you and show you some of the stuff that I'm building. We're going to break things real time. Look, something I realized is if I get on camera and I start breaking things and things go wrong, no one cares. People just want to see how I fix things, how I go about the methodology of fixing these things, and how my mind works. So again, I'm going away and trying to make these sort of like picture perfect, Pluralsight, CBT nugget type, I don't know if you remember those days, video type lectures and stuff. This is not what we're going to do going forward. Going forward, we're going to have a much more, one take, interactive, just churn it out guys approach, right? So with that out of the way, because this is one take and it's going to be completely unprofessional, I might chop some chunks out, but I'm not going to do retakes, right? I'm going to actually have a sip of this sugar-free energy drink, right? So let's go into what I was wanting to discuss today. So in terms of programming paradigms, we've seen a massive shift recently to this whole kind of language model approach of programming. And one of the things that we're still holding on to as developers is this whole idea that we have to be the orchestrators of all of the logic and all of the methodology that goes into interacting with all of this, the logic, the business logic, the services, right? So I'm going to give you some food for thought in this video. This is a very, very small slither of what I've been building out on over the sort of recent months. And if this is some of the stuff that you would like me to go into, we definitely will do. And if you want to see how I build some of this stuff out and using GitHub code spaces and Azure and that kind of stuff, what I'm going to put forward as an idea, rather than me go for all these sort of PowerPoint presentation slides where we go down this low level, I'm thinking, look, let's just turn the stream on. Let's just jump into an ID for like 3 or 4 hours on a weekend, and let's just make something live, real time, warts and all, mistakes and all, things going wrong, and let's just produce some stuff, right? Now, historically, I've been a sort of Google Cloud Platform and an AWS person. I'm shifting at the moment to Azure, so I've got about 6 months of dev experience in Azure. But again, if you've got less than that or even more, you still might find some value in what we're doing. But let's just jump into some Azure. Let's build some stuff out with Azure functions and some logic apps and stuff like this, and let's build some AI projects out, really. But anyway, I'm digressing. Again, this is one take. You've probably turned off by now, but anyway, but you can see in front of me, I've got a chat GPT sort of browser session. I've got a custom GPT here. And what I want to show you here is, in a lot of our tools and our programs, we are the ones that are deciding on the logic of the actions that go into these endpoint calls. And especially when we are building things like assistants and we're building, just plain LangChain library tools and stuff. We're the ones going, get user input here and take this here and do this here. And if we actually give GPT some custom API tools, now in this case, we're going to look at one set of tools, but we can layer tools and we can give lots and lots of tools. In fact, we can actually give up to 300 API endpoints to GPT, and we'll talk about that in a second. We can get GPT to actually figure out a lot of things for us and actually chain together a lot of tools. And we're going to go into this later. Again, I don't want to sort of sidetrack the discussion now. We can actually make up plausible stories or plausible use cases around tools, around their use and around their interactions. And we can actually get a GPT to apply some logic with these kind of, I wouldn't say fictitious, but at the same time, we are constructing narratives with tool sets and stuff through descriptive language in terms of prompt engineering, but also customizations, but also within the actual tools that we're going to program into GPT using these YAML and JSON Swagger files. So I probably talked around the houses there a little bit as well. Sorry, guys. I'm just going to keep going here. I'm going to break the barrier here. At some point, we're going to get fluid at these. We're going to get good. I'm just going to start just literally doing what the channel says, daily dose of dev, right? So the point being is, anyway, so we can make a custom GPT. We can give it tools. I'm going to click on, if I go to this GPT here, I should remember I've mirrored my display. So let's just move that mouse. See if this works right. So you can see here, I've made a custom GPT and I've just put in here, let's just go up here. I've put in some custom instructions about, the kind of things it does and the kind of use cases of when I might want to call an action. So I've given it some kind of, methodology, some API. Sorry about that. That's this Grammarly thing. I'm going to turn that off in future. Sorry about that, guys. But you can see some of the things I've talked about, how I might interact with this API to call these things. But I've given it some kind of context. I've given it some kind of limitations, some background info in the prompt there. I've given it an okayish name and description. But if you go down here, what I've actually done is I've made one of these GPT actions. I'm sorry, guys, I'm painfully aware I haven't even talked about what a GPT custom. I'm just assuming everyone knows this at this point here. Again, apologies, guys. Every time I've started to do a course or a series, I've always started at the beginner point because everyone in my life has always said, Chris, you go off at 100 miles an hour. This is what this channel is going to end up being, I think, at some point, and you might have to bear with me. We might just start going through topics at a massively high rate, and I'm, sorry, guys. I'll try and do some beginner topics, try and rein me in at some points, but let's just go for this, right? Anyway, it is what it is. So anyway, assuming you know what a GPT is, a custom GPT is, and how to create one, and you've seen this before. What we can do is we can create these actions. Now, we can create these actions using JSON and YAML, but these are essentially Swagger file format. And you can imagine OpenAI as a company, they wanted a format that they could identify and recognize and readily turn into something useful. So what they've done is they've taken this Swagger file format, which was a industry standard, and they've invested in it, and they've taken ownership of it, and they've trained their models on how to read it and interact with these files. And when you look at mine now, you'll see there's all different levels of documentation and levels of detail that you can do with these YAML files. And the more that you give within these YAML files, the better your performance is going to be when it comes to interacting with your language model. So let's have a look at mine. So you can sort of see, I don't know if this is actually readable. Let's just see if I can zoom in a little bit here as well. Unfortunately, we can't really do anything with the intermediate. I mean, it is what it is. Sorry, guys. You can sort of see here, this is part of my management tool set. But you can see here, I've explained, it's a Todoist integration. I've given it some ideas of some of these endpoints and what they do, some of the parameters. Again, this particular video is not specifically about these, and we're going to go into videos about these, and we're going to build these out. And I actually plan on building a lot of cool stuff with you guys now. We will go with some beginner videos, but I think I've just done them to death, and I keep planning on bringing everyone with me and going back to basics and stuff. And I think sometimes I just need to embrace the fact that people want to see some really cool stuff. So let's get into these, cool AI things where we can build actual useful things for our workflow. But you can see I'm just describing all these endpoints, describing the fields that get passed. We'll go into these, but this is just a way of me, creating a component reference for this particular API. And the better you document these things, you'll see down here again, like you haven't got to put all these things in, but I've put examples. Everything. You can have some really bare bones of these, and I'm going to go through all these options in some videos. But the point is, the more information you put in these files, the more information the GPT has on how to use these tools. So with that in mind, I bet you're dying to see what's in this Todoist account here. Bear in mind, this is a Todoist tool. And again, I just want to point out, I actually have over 600 functions, okay? Or I should say, in this case here, API endpoint method combinations, right? But what we can do is we can put them in these files. So if we go back here, and let's go back to here. If we go into in fact here, right? So if we go into one of these, we can see that we can layer up these files. So this one's got my presentations, it's got cheat sheets in here, got flashcards, notes, resources. And some of the things we can do here, I mean, one of the useful things I've had is being able to upload a PDF into GPT in the browser on any computer I'm on, and have it not just uploaded to GPT, but for GPT to add meta tags to it and put it into a bucket. But there's other things as well, and just so many things. And I don't want to sort of start bombarding you here, but like the GitHub stuff, reading my GitHub and being able to detect what files are in it to give me better descriptions and tags, being able to retrieve any file from any GitHub repo at any time from a GPT, and we can program all this stuff. It's whatever people want, right? But I think in the past we've been going at sort of like that entry level, right? So anyway, I'm digressing, and this is probably why I have to have so many edits. But let's go to Todoist. And at the moment, I've got nothing in this as well. Okay, this is just a little demo account I've made. What I want to plan on doing is just to get, and I haven't actually. This is the other thing. I haven't actually tested this Todoist one out anyway. This is live. I thought, and I completely missed this point. I thought, let's do it live. So if anything does go wrong, you can see my methodology of how I fix things. So what I wanted to do is start off for this lesson. And I'm going to take this and paste this in. Nope, that's the wrong window. It's over here. So it's all mirrored on my system. And what this is just me saying, create a new Todoist task management project called Azure Function Integration. Oh, I spelled that. Okay. And put so just, I'm going to sort this out, guys. My monitors at the moment have to be completely reversed and mirrored because my setup. I wasn't. Look, I've literally just done this on the spur of the moment, as you can tell. So it's going to get better. But look, I've got to jump into this, right? So create a new Todoist task management project called Azure Function Integration and put the following folders as separate tasks. I'm actually just thinking as well. Should we put these? Actually, no. The dates might confuse it. We should say so. Ignore. We'll just say something like they're part of a file listing. Let's just see what it does, and then we can see if we can fix it or break it or whatever it is. While that's doing that, I'm gonna have a little drink. It should ask me now for confirmation of access in the endpoint, but let's see. Oh no, because I put the thingy flag on there. I'll show that to you as well, guys. There's a flag that you can put in the headers, the consequential flag, and it basically stops you getting prompts. The reason I put that in is I like to actually just talk into the GPT on the phone, and then what I'll do is I'll hook up my tasks and I'll hook up my notes and I'll hook up a few other tools. I'll have a chat with GPT, and at the end of it, I'll say, "Can you summarize all the notes that we just spoke about, and then can you add them to a gist, or can you add them to this file or Dropbox or whatever it is?" And the idea there is I keep this kind of state thing. So actually, this is going quite well. Actually, this is going better than I even thought it might. But and you can see we're getting quite a lot of API calls here. Actually, we're probably in danger actually of this crashing at some point. But let's just see if it's doing anything here. Oh, there you go. Look, right. So I shouldn't be surprised, I guess, because I put a lot of work into the YAML file, but it seems to be working. And again, see that these are all API endpoints I've got. There you go. There's a few more. So look, it's going well. Now, I wasn't really going to go this far in this video, but we can go a little bit further. The point I was going to get to is I'm going to try and do more videos this year, guys. At least at the start of the year. If the channel that doesn't work out, if people don't like the content, again, I'm indifferent. I don't rely on YouTube to make my money. I'm very, very fortunate in life that I have a really lucky position to be in an IT career where my biggest struggle in life is my commute to work, and my commute to work is stepping over a rug. So anyway, guys, look, I'm going to start doing more videos. If this is the kind of content you want to see, please, direct it. But just so you know, I'm going to sort of step away from all that previous stuff last year of 25 takes, sitting there with presentations, trying to give people like the real basics. And I just want to sort of like jump in almost freestyle. Let's just sort of like, take projects in the comments or something like that maybe, and let's just jump in and build some stuff and build some cool AI tools or some endpoint. I don't know. Let's just do something. Anyway, look, that's me anyway. Let's see what this has done. Let's see if it timed out error. Let's see if it finished. Let's see. 18 resources. So actually, if you look at the list, so let's go back to the list actually, because this is interesting. So if we go back to the, okay. There you go. Right. I thought it'd finished. So I keep going to the wrong one. Well, okay. Let's just see if it completes the rest off now. That's really good. I like that. Maybe we should also see if the color works for the project update. I don't know if it's been wired in yet, but no, I think I did wire up all the SDK endpoints. So it might be in. Yeah, let's try that one. Anyway, the thing I'm referring to is the majority of the time your function is just going to be wrappers around particular library. So for example, like there's wrappers I use for the inspect library to inspect Python modules to pull down Python help documentation into the chats, and there's like feed parser that gets RSS feeds and pulls them down to the chat, and just basically just all these feeds basically. Let's just see. Has that gone on quite a lot more than? Oh no, okay. I think it's just two requests. Oh, yeah, because it's showing me the debug. That's why I'm just, yeah. So I forgot what I was saying now, guys. Probably a bit important in this video. We'll probably pick up on in future videos. Oh, that was it. Sorry. Yeah. So essentially, what you'll do for your endpoints is you'll be wrapping around some kind of routing function around some kind of Python, C Sharp, Node, whatever. Again, we can make functions in different languages. For things like machine learning, I tend to keep to Python. If this was a more sort of enterprise app and the performance and scaling really sort of mattered, and we were doing something more sort of business logic, I'd probably go for more C Sharp. But again, look, you could build a Flask app, use Flask routes, even Fast API, whatever. You're just going to be exposing some routes. And what we'll do is we'll actually not only build up some of these endpoints, I'll tell you what we can also do is we can put them in API Endpoint Manager, and we can manage them in there, and we can look at things like going to Postman and other types of programs like that as well, if that's of interest. So what's it saying here? Okay, so it's created the basics, right? Let's just see. So I've decided against that one. So let's just see. This will be a really interesting one now. Let's just see. Okay. It's not complained yet. Yeah, so I think the whole of that Python SDK library was wired in. But yeah, you basically just take your functions and wrap them around routes, and I'll show you all that. But let's see what's happened over here. So, there you go. So we have actually changed then to the little blue there. CMDB's gone. Is it still going? No. And again, I think that's the end of our video anyway, guys, for this one. But I'll be sure to do some more tomorrow. But please let me know, is this the kind of stuff that you like, just sort of seeing this kind of stuff? Is more sort of API endpoint interactions and stuff. I believe the way the industry is going right now, we're moving more to this sort of serverless architecture, moving to more to these sort of discrete API endpoints. And the beauty of API endpoints is whether or not you're using them in your GPTs, you can then also use them for your assistants if you move over to assistants, but also you can use them in your own personal projects as well. One thing I will say is it's very easy to get up and going with API endpoints. However, good RESTful API design is something that's quite, it's not hard, it's not challenging, but it's time consuming, and quite often people take shortcuts. And what I would say is the better you can dress up your endpoints and the more descriptive you can make them and the more summaries and descriptions you can give them and the more you can expose the parameters, when you pass these files into GPT, especially when you've got multiple things going on like blob containers and Cosmos DB storage, and you've got file uploads going on, and you're making slide decks and quizzes and flashcard presentations, and we'll go through all these things. But the point is, once you've got all these files and you're layering them up in your GPT, if you've got half-assed descriptions and, when you're trying to invoke functions, the GPT is not going to know which one to call and what parameters to pass, and it's going to try and guess parameters and stuff. But if you can actually really dress these up well, you can take two separate YAML files with two separate sets of endpoints. You can dress them up as part of the same package, the same program, and give them, like a fake persona and a fake piece of software and stuff. And a lot of these components are just going to be reusable components like blob storage and database storage. And when you start to tie in things like Upsert into like NoSQL databases, and you tie into the ability to give GPT the ability to make its own blob storage containers, and the ability to check if containers exist and list those containers to make sure it's getting the right names, and you can coach it in how to do that with the methodologies, you can start to build some very, very powerful apps. And when you tie in things like multiple actions, like, pulling down my daily RSS feeds and pulling in all the sort of articles I like to read, and separating out tasks from non-tasks on my to-doist, and can you pull down my emails and things like this. Now, I won't go into email during this series because obviously my email is my email, but again, you can take everything that we're talking about and apply it to anything, to any service. But obviously the caveat here is obviously with security, and there's things that we'll talk about as we go forward. But the model being is, and this is what I want to sort of take away from this, is the model being is, don't go out there and try and reinvent the wheel. Yeah, a lot of the time when you're building these apps, you're building authentication, you're building user experiences, you're building the user modalities, you're building the interface with the webcams and so the file uploads, and you're building all this kind of stuff. And then even if you move away from that, you're still then building all these sort of like the face and ChromaDB databases and Weaviates and Pinecones, and you're setting all this up. Actually, if you can just reduce the actual business logic of what it is you need to do and dress it up with really well designed endpoints and put them into combinations that make sense, you can get some very, very powerful workloads where GPT will take verbal instructions and then it'll just get the job done. And that's what I'm hoping to sort of show people that are interested. If there's enough interest, I'll keep going. Anyway, that's me, guys. Hopefully that's been beneficial. Until next time.